Hey, I want you to listen up and check out this song, because if you are taking antidepressants, I guarantee you have never heard anything like this before. We're going to be listening to Jack Harris's Careful What You Wish For, a really unique song, and reacting to it. Let's go. I don't know where to start with this, but what I want to say is I don't think I've heard any songs critical of antidepressants in such a direct way before. And what he's saying is so real. As a doctor that essentially takes people off psychiatric medications, that's all I do. This is probably the number 2 reason that people come to see me. They say, I miss my old emotions. I want to feel authentic emotions. I don't feel creative anymore. Sure, I'm not upset, but like I know the full range of what I feel is gone. And there's something really off about that. You may be wondering what the number 1 reason is. The number 1 reason a lot of the time is people don't want to be anchored to their pharmacies and relying on the doctors. But closely after that, this is what people say. And so that's really common. Let's go on to hear what more he has to say. It's like I needed something to help me get through. Gosh, in an ideal world, right, wouldn't that be someone to listen to your problems, someone to understand what you're going through, and someone to help you out? But, in this kind of, in this sinister way, you end up going and seeing a doctor and they're just like, hey, man, just take this pill. You'll feel much better. And then he goes on and it feels like your brain's been severed and your heartbeat won't be something by the weather, which is like you're not going to be reacting to the contextual stresses in your life anymore. Obviously, the song is kind of negative and kind of goes into it a little bit more, but that's not a state that people want to be in, right? I mean, maybe for a little bit, maybe right at the start during an emergency, that's a better state to be in, kind of numbed out a little bit so you can get through it. But as a long-term option for people, it's terrible. And it should never be the preferred state of anyone to end up on the antidepressants long-term when you can avoid it. So, I mean, I've been talking about this for a long time, about doctors' over-reliance on these medications, and they're not emphasizing the non-drug approaches. They're not emphasizing the long-term risks, such as this one. This is the most common long-term risk of these meds, is essentially not feeling like yourself, because that is the drug effect. Feeling blunted, losing motivation sometimes, kind of going through the motions, as he says. For a lot of people on antidepressants, they can end up feeling like they're going through the motions because they've been numbed to a point where they're not feeling genuine drive towards certain things. Not everyone, but for a lot of people, that's how they feel, and that's what people are reporting to me. So let's
Careful what you wish for.
Yeah, just I guess talking about the massive collateral damage that can come with this. One face forever. That's what some people feel when they're like this, just constricted, muted. And sure, that might be a better state than the one you were before, but just for a while, because eventually people want the full range of emotions back, even if there's some immense sadness there, because the contrast to that is what makes people want to live, moments of joy, moments of happiness when they come through. So he talks about just being emotionally flattened by the meds, which is something that's kind of hard to understand unless you've actually gone through it. I mean, I totally think this has happened to him. I don't think you get that kind of insight without going through. So that part of it, I think he's starting to talk about how the drugs make some people feel suicidal, and he kind of leaves it on the cliffhanger. How can they sell you something that might make you feel like you want to be dead, right? This is like so common. I mean, you go out there and you search for these stories about drug-induced suicides, and you'll see Prozac come up, all of these antidepressants. And in a small fraction of people, they have a paradoxical effect, kind of like any drug, kind of like, like cannabis, right? If you smoked cannabis with a bunch of your friends, 4 out of 5 people are having a great time. One person's becoming kind of paranoid and not having such good of a time. Same thing happens with any kind of neurological drug. And with the antidepressants, sometimes they put people on edge. Sometimes they make them more anxious, more obsessive, more dark. And you do that to someone who's already depressed, pushes them into having suicidal thoughts. They start, sometimes having fantasies about how they're going to harm themselves. And sometimes it's even fantasies about how they're going to harm other people as well. And people are so frightened when this starts happening to them because it feels like their brain's literally been hijacked by a drug. Yeah, that is one of the scariest things about the antidepressants. And gosh, I hope it didn't happen to him, but
Be careful what you wish for.
I think that's pretty much the end of the song. But I guess what I want to say is, gosh, can there be more songs like this out there? Music, it's so powerful. I can sit kind of on my pulpit with my microphone and kind of talk all day till I'm blue in the face about how people don't recognize the risks of these medications. But there is something about a good song that just kind of cuts through all of the noise and makes people feel things in a different way. This is a theme that has not been covered enough in music at the moment. Adverse drug side effects of psychiatric medications, the downsides of them. Man, I hope this gets people thinking, or at least people realizing, like, hey, what is the trade-off to what I'm doing, with these medications right now? What am I missing? What is the opportunity cost of not having my full range of emotions? What is that doing to me? This song was the bomb. Jack Harris, please make more music like this. Other people, listen to this stuff, make more of it. If you are someone who needs help coming off psychiatric medications, that's all I talk about. We'll have a link in the description to this video, underneath, to the side, wherever you're watching it, on a tapering tips playlist, because coming off these meds is not easy, and it can actually be pretty dangerous if you don't do it right. So you can check out some of those links for best guidance on how to come off. And that was really cool. That was a great video. People, send me some of these things. If you see people making music like this, send it my way. I would love to hear it. So yeah, thanks.